What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Legal Score. I am your host, Sonja. Happy Wednesday to everyone. I hope you guys are all doing well out there. Please subscribe on YouTube and all the socials. Welcome into my new subscribers and shout out to Brian B. Strilla Arndt, the producer extraordinaire, as well as Pink Fan Fur for the promos. Guys, this is the big night eve that we've all been waiting for. If you're an NFL advocate, fan, all of that good stuff like I am, then you know that tonight is the night, as Dr. Dre and them said, tonight's the night. But anyway, we'll get to that in just a second. Let me give out some more shout outs and welcome ins to all of the new subscribers as well. And of course, this episode, the entire month, has been dedicated to my uncle, whose birthday was the first week of April. Y'all, we are literally wrapping up April. We are officially back in the real season of NFL. That was a short off season. Of course, the draft coming up, and then on tomorrow, right after that, you see the OTAs and spring trainings and so forth and so forth. But this is the biggest night in football, guys. April 23rd is what I'm talking about, going down in the great state of Pennsylvania. And it is definitely a generation of defense that's taking the big stage on tomorrow. Not a heavily saturated quarterback class, thanks to the Manning family and the lack of Arch Manning entering the draft. But we'll get to that later. The top prospects for tomorrow, the big night. Number one, Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State, is per CBS and NFL Network actually projected, widely regarded as the safest pick in the draft, superseding Fernando Mendoza. You guys know he's definitely projected to go to the Raiders, but they actually have him at the number 2 position behind Caleb Downs because he's a safer option. Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana predicted to go to the Raiders and has been predicted to go to the Raiders the entire off season here that we've had, the brevity of that. But he's clear QB1 despite everything going on. NFL Network, of course, Daniel Jeremiah notes that he's going to need a strong offensive line immediately. But you guys know this is what the Raiders do. They have not had an offense or defense for quite some time. David Bailey, the edge out of Texas Tech, is projected to go at number 3. A freak athlete who vaulted into that top 3 position after a dominant combine. We guys saw him up there doing what he needs to do best. Number 4 is Arvell Reese, the linebacker out of Ohio State, sideline to sideline thumper who solidifies a defensive heavy top of the board. And at number 5, we got Sonny Styles, the linebacker out of Ohio State. That's the Ohio State guys, making it 3 Buckeyes in the top 5 positions. He has versatility, of course, and he's going to be a hybrid player, a hybrid defender, is what everybody's talking about in the league. So he's going to be a great catch no matter where he goes in those top 5 positions. Number 6 is going to be rounded out by Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame. The Giants are the heavy projected contenders for picking him in the era of passing. Love's home run speed is the exception. You know, Harbaugh being the new coach there, he's definitely wanting to make the mark, make a statement the first season as the New York Giants head coach. Spencer Fano, the offensive tackle, is going to be projected at number 7 out of Utah. He's going to be definitely one of the top rated picks we see in this draft. And analysts are saying that his footwork is already pro ready from day one. So there's no acclimation needed when he gets into the league. Number 8 is Mansour Delane, cornerback out of LSU. Sticky man coverage specialist, projected to go at number 8. Number 9 projected is Jordan Tyson, wide receiver out of Arizona State. First receiver off the board in most of these mock drafts that have been going on. And then at the number 10 position, we have Ruben Bain Jr., the edge out of Miami, power rusher, who many believe should go even higher. Now, tomorrow night, of course, we're going to be right here covering the draft coverage. Make sure you stay tuned. I personally won't be here, but the network, my network, will be covering this. I have class tomorrow night, last legal writing and research class forever. So getting ready to take care of that. But I'll be joining the party a little bit later on. I'm projected to get out of class a little early, not trying to, rat on my teacher, but got to catch the draft. But anyway, I'm going to be joining right here. Brian B. Strilla is going to be hosting, our producer behind the scenes, is going to be hosting a plethora of shows with different fans across the border from all 32 teams, as many fans that can be available to show up and show in. So if you have an interest in, being on the spotlight for just a little bit tomorrow, when your pick is up, then, put a comment under this chat, even if it's after I'm off live, and we will make sure we reach out and contact you through whatever means you've contacted us to see if we can't get you on the spotlight. So big night, of course, but NFL reports are saying that Dallas Cowboys are actively receiving trading calls for their pick already. Now, y'all know it's nothing new for teams at the last minute to decide, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give up my pick because I'm going to go ahead and get someone else instead. In a bizarre turn of events today, former President Bill Clinton actually crashed the Dallas presser, adding that some unexpected political flair to the pre-draft jitters that everybody is talking about. And on the injury front, Florida defensive tackle Caleb Banks sent a letter to all 32 teams today confirming his surgically repaired foot is on track for a June clearance, a move that's intended to save his late round stock. So you guys know anytime something comes out with arrest or injuries or what have you that come out pre-draft or during the initial hours of the draft stock actually plummets. And no other shocking thing, as if that was not enough, today it was revealed that one of the prospects, not in the top prospect, but in the second part of the draft, which will take place on Friday, the 24th, projected to go in the second round, was none other than this gentleman, Zachariah Branch. Biggest headline today. He is literally on Sunday morning, as a matter of fact, he was arrested. The Georgia wide receiver, Zachariah Branch, that is, was arrested in Athens, Georgia, on 2 misdemeanor charges, one obstructing public sidewalks and streets, and the second was obstruction of a law enforcement officer. Now, according to the details in the police report that is public record right now, officers were clearing a large crowd outside of an Athens bar around midnight. And the report alleges that Branch actually was ordered to disperse, but continued to stand on the sidewalk without making an attempt to move. And then he was warned with a citation by the officers, Clark County, that is Clark County Sheriff's, Clark County Police Department in Athens. And at that point, Branch smirked allegedly and stepped back, but remained on the sidewalk, which led to his arrest. Now, he was booked in at 1:26 a.m. and released just 2 hours later on a $39 bond. So nothing significant. This is a misdemeanor, guys. And he was in town to support his brother at Georgia's G-Day spring game. Coming just 4 days, of course, before the draft. The timing was far from ideal, but the legal score on this seems to be leaning in Branch's favor. Now, I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about the reactions from public spectators, public media, what have you. And then I'm going to give you a contrast to something that already has happened with a previous professional player who's no longer in the league. And this actually cost him his time in the league. Most analysts about Branch, including Joe Schott, are saying that this is an overreaction by the police and expect it to have zero impact on his draft status. Now, he does remain locked in on that day 2 or possibly day 3. So round 2 or round 3 for day 2. And teams like the New York Jets, who are number 44 overall in the second round, the Atlanta Falcons, and the New Orleans Saints are still high on him as a dynamic slot target and return specialist. He's 5'10", 180 pounds with an elite 4.33 speed. While the smirk that the police actually, put in the report doesn't look good, it doesn't really kind of overshadow the fact that he had 81 catches, guys. 81 catches, 1,200 all-purpose yards last season. That's what they're looking for is the performance, not this hiccup with law enforcement. All right, guys. So I see everybody coming on. Y'all make sure you say hello so I can address you and pop your comment up on the screen. Let me give you the contrast to this. Atlanta Falcons will remember Jonathan Abraham. uh, many years ago, pre-pandemic, pre all that. He was down in the Midtown areas, in fact, near the 17th um, area, 17th Street area of Atlanta, down by the nice shopping area, what have you, down there. And they were doing some construction. Atlanta police actually asked him to move off the sidewalk because at this point, it wasn't just about the construction, but they had a possible jumper. There were some apartments that were built. There was some people, a person that was threatening to jump. And Abraham was like, no, I'm not moving. Next thing you know, he is released from the Atlanta Falcons. Not only is he released from the Atlanta Falcons, you literally never heard of him again. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think that was around 2016 or 17. It may have been even 14. But I will say this: if you want to do one thing with a big thing like obstruction and things like that, that's when you realize that there is no recourse for that. You know, if you can't follow simple commands as far as just getting off the sidewalk, it's like why would you go into the league if you can't even follow moving off the sidewalk? How do you expect to be coached? So I was trying to see real quick uh the what year it was, because just as I was talking to you guys about that, it dawned on me that he actually was released way back when. So anyway, moving on to the next thing here. You know, the NBA playoffs are going on right now. It's an awesome time. So, right on the cusp of the draft tomorrow, we got the NBA playoffs going on right now. And right now, the Orlando Magic are playing the Detroit Pistons. Let me run you down some scores in case you guys have missed up to right about now. But the first round is in full swing. Of course, most recent scores were the Philadelphia 76ers 111 over the Boston Celtics. Now, to me, that was a shocker because Boston has been sitting at number 2 for quite a minute. They're in the same conference. So, you know, the playoffs make you play extremely hard because, you know, you got to like step it up to stay in. Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, 59 combined points for that game. The series is now tied at 1-1. Next game is Friday in Philadelphia. And so that game is already tight neck and neck. Out of the Western Conference, Portland Trailblazers 106, the San Antonio Spurs 103. That was a nail biter. Scoot Henderson was the high scorer there, 31 points. Series is also tied 1-1. Next game is tomorrow night in Portland. And then the Lakers and Rockets game, Lakers pulled it out and they actually lead this series 2-0. And people were shocked because of all the injuries that LeBron has had to contend with on this Lakers franchise. He, of course, was the high scorer at 28 points. And their next game is Friday in Houston. The Minnesota Timberwolves 119 over the Denver Nuggets 114. Another close game. That series is also tied 1-1. Next game is tomorrow night in Minnesota. And let me see real quick if this Magic game has an update for me. When I was going live, it was on half. So I'm going to check in real quick and give you guys who cannot watch the game an update on the score as soon as it populates. All right, right now the Pistons are up 84-66. So they were tied earlier on, but in the fourth quarter with a little over 10 minutes to go, the Pistons have far extended their lead in this game. And right now, Orlando shockingly leads the series 1-0. So Detroit is in a let's state them now position. They want to make sure that this thing doesn't get out of control early on. Let's hop over to some MLB news. Major League Baseball is what I'm speaking about, guys. Just a busy time of year, like I said, all across the board. Everybody's doing what they got to do to get into all of these games. You guys know that baseball has more games than anyone else. But oh yeah, before I forget, tonight's late game for the NBA is going to be the Phoenix Suns at the Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC, the Thunder lead 1-0. Suns SG Grayson Allen is officially available for this game despite a nagging hamstring, while Mark Williams remains questionable. He's going to be a game time decision. All right. MLB news, guys. The Cardinals over the Marlins. The Cardinals actually, this is MLB 14-9. Slugfest in Miami. Cardinals getting it done. The Reds over the Rays 16-8. They double what they gave them. Cincinnati's offense is currently the hottest in the NL right now. The Orioles defeated the Royals 11-8. A lot of big scoring games. Like, these guys are running these scoreboards up. Baltimore survived a late scare in the end. The Astros fall to the Guardians 9-14, and Cleveland's bats are nothing but on fire. Now, the Cubs actually got devastating news for rotation today. Z. Eflin is sidelined with an elbow injury and isn't expected back until 2027. And we see these elbow injuries quite a bit. And so it's going to be basically over for him for the entire season. And that is so sad, especially for the remainder of this year. So we will see him back next year, hopefully. We hope he has a speedy recovery. For the Baltimore Orioles, Jackson Holiday remains out with that wrist, and his earliest expected return is April 28th. All right, over to the NHL. The Stanley Cup playoffs are also going on, y'all. Like, you got the NBA, you got the NHL playoffs going on, and you got the draft. Like, this literally is the most exciting time of the year for sports fans. The Bruins literally eked by the Sabres 3-2. Boston salvaged a series split behind Arvidsson's 2 goals. Congratulations to them. The Lightning got by the Canadiens by 1 point in overtime, 3-2. Moser's overtime winner silenced the Montreal crowd. You guys know how Canadians do it with that. And then the Avalanche, we've seen these guys here before in overtime against the Kings as well, 4-3. Roy scored in the extra frame as Colorado rallied to win game number 2. Now, injuries as well. Minnesota's Matt Zuccarello is out. He is a game time decision right now for game 3 against the Stars. Dallas got up in there and just did not look. I mean, I don't know, y'all. I don't want to throw no hate, but basically, Dallas teams have a track record for doing what they do best. So, typical Dallas. The Stars don't get it done, and now they have this possible injury. So, that's going to be interesting to see how that all pans out. But let's see. It's going to be an abbreviated show tonight, guys, because we really don't have a whole lot going on. The conference quarterfinals are also heating up tonight. Philadelphia Flyers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, 2 Pennsylvania teams. As of this broadcast, we're locked in at 1-1 tie at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. The Battle of Pennsylvania is living up to the playoff hype with heavy hits and desperation defense. Now, coming up later on tonight, I did talk to you guys about the injury that Dallas already has. The Stars will be playing Minnesota as the puck drops here in the next 8 minutes. 9:30 Eastern Standard Time for the Grand Casino Arena is expected to be a sellout crowd. And the Anaheim Ducks are going to be playing these Edmonton Oilers. We've seen them before here at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Ducks are facing a major hurdle as Radko Gudas was added to the injury report today with an undisclosed status update. Edmonton is looking to capitalize on that defensive gap. And that is what is so crazy right now. So let me go ahead and take a small commercial break, and I will be right back. are back. Thank you guys so much. This is the second part of the show, the legal score. Now, this part of the show is a heavy month for sports litigation. A lot of high profile Hall of Famers and collegiate stars will be hitting the courtroom as we wrap up April, from intellectual property battles to massive federal crackdowns on college athletics. Here is the most significant sports related legal stories as we wrap up the month of April. Hall of Famer Frank Thomas versus Nike Fanatics and the Chicago White Sox in a major name, image, and likeness claim, a lawsuit filed recently. Hall of Fame slugger Frank Thomas is suing Nike Fanatics and the Chicago White Sox. He's alleging that those entities have been selling his jerseys and merchandise featuring his name and likeness without his consent or compensation. This case is significant as it's going to set a potential precedent for retired legends seeking a piece of the massive modern sports merchandising market. So for those who don't have the understanding or the legalese communication, basically in layman's terms, as my grandmother used to say, retired players are suing these companies who are using their jerseys and their names to gain money, and they have not gotten their permission to do it, and they're definitely not paying them. So we see all these jerseys of all these retired players from all these different teams for years. And I guess we never really think about, are these players still, getting some type of compensation off this? I know I personally was not. But you know what? Frank Thomas is like, yeah, they're not getting paid. I'm telling you guys, they're not getting paid. And I'm going to be the first one to put a lawsuit up to get my money. And this is going to set the precedent, which means it's going to be the first case. And this is going to determine how courts look at future retired players across the sports arenas, across sports teams everywhere, when Nike, Fanatics, and even the teams that they're retired from continue to sell their jerseys with their names or numbers on them. Now, that's going to be interesting to see, because if the courts happen to rule in favor of Thomas, I'm pretty sure that his lawyer has asked for some type of back pay. I'm going to put that in words so you guys can understand. From the time that he first asserted that this injury happened to him. So from however long ago they've been selling these jerseys, he's going to ask for that, or at least the first time he's able to prove on record that he can Google somewhere and see that they've been selling this shirt or jersey or what have you for X amount of time. So he's about to get some coins, or at a minimum, he's about to possibly stop it from happening. But I don't know. The court may rule and say, you know what? You were part of this team, and under that ownership, the team has rights to do this, and the team has a contract with Nike and Fanatics, because they do. That's how Nike and Fanatics sells these team merchandise, because the teams have that relationship. And if the court decides that Thomas's rights are underneath the umbrella of the White Sox, then he's lost his rights. So I'll keep you all posted on that as soon as I find out. Now, at the beginning of the month, y'all, and this is one thing that was really sticky for me, a federal executive order, as if we needed this to come out of the White House. Some things we don't need in sports, and we don't need the White House intervention in college sports. Well, an executive order came out targeting college athletics, basically saying that this was their urgent national action to save college sports, basically making a mandate that the NCAA adopt a strict rule by August of this year, August 1st. I've talked about this a little bit, about eligibility of players, proposing a strict 5-year limit of eligibility for those persons that want to play sports, and banning professional athletes from returning to collegiate play. So those guys who go into the draft and maybe they make the B squad, they make the practice squad, then they see they're going to be an undrafted free agent and they are not able to continue with the NFL. So they go back to college, and now they still have the name they had in college, but they're not taking classes. They're just playing sports, and they're getting a name, image, and likeness deal from one of these big vendors out there that pays millions of dollars. The funding is going to actually ban the use of federal funds or for NIL payments for revenue sharing. So none of these players can break their school off anything either. Now, basically, there's calls for crackdown on collectives and third-party pay-for-play methods, and even threats from the White House to pull federal funding if these rules are considered violated. Not just federal funding from the athletics department, but across the board, the entire school. So even if you're not an athlete and they feel that the athletic department is violating this rule, they can pull the federal funding from all of everybody basically. So I don't know, guys. To me, that's a little much. I mean, I'm kind of split as far as whether or not somebody should be going back to college to play XYZ. But this all stemmed from the pandemic when everybody just felt like they had 7 to 8 years of eligibility. But now the White House has asserted itself behind the presidency and stepped in. And so this is because they say right now there's an estimate of roughly $21 million cap school allowed to be shared directly with the athletes. $21 million per school is a lot of money just for the athletes. Of course, this comes out of Title IX compliance that legal scholars are actually watching to see how 22% revenue share model impacts gender equity requirements under this title. And we're going to have to keep our eyes open on that one as well. Now, connected to this, on April 15th, the General Washington Productions LLC, they filed a lawsuit challenging the state name, image, and likeness laws on First Amendment grounds. And in addition to that, everybody wants to look at this. That's why I was telling you guys the earlier Chicago case is not just going to be precedent, but there's going to be precedent throughout. There's a lot of individual players that have been filing suits and challenging First Amendments and just a lot of legal jargon that are going on. Now, in another case, though, former Texas Tech coach Zarnell Fish. Now, this is a criminal matter. Basically, a lawsuit was filed just a couple of days ago by two plaintiffs seeking up to $1 million in damages following an alleged battery. That's, assault and battery, like a touching, unprovoked touching, non-consensual touching, offensive touching is what battery is. Incident at a bar shortly before his contract expired in early 2026. Now, this is the thing. Whoever these plaintiffs are that are seeking this $1 million, they technically have the right to also sue Texas Tech, because if his contract was still active, that's a possible loophole for them to also go after the school as well. And then Fisk versus San Diego State, a final class action settlement approved hearing was scheduled for mid-April, marking the conclusion of a major dispute over athlete compensation. I mean, this is a production market platform, y'all. This is just what it is when everybody wants to get the higher contract of the other one. Kind of like the one up. Like you get one, I get one, and there you have it. I'm gonna check in here shortly with this score for you guys for the Detroit game, and I'm gonna hop off of here a little early tonight so that you all can get your rest and get ready for our big draft party on tomorrow. Let's see. Atlanta Braves ended up against Washington. Wow, with a tie 6-6. It's like as soon as you go to look at the score, everything comes up, and then you get just a chance to see it. So right now, with 4 minutes, 46 seconds left, the Pistons now have a 20-game lead, 20-point lead. Can't even see it, against the Orlando Magic. So this game looks like, with just 4 minutes left, that the series will be tied after tonight at 1-1. And so with that being said, make sure you guys join us tomorrow night live at 8 p.m. We'll be here with the big draft party. And and just interested in who everybody gets. I'm super excited about the Panthers and my squad and watching them. And shout out to the Atlanta Falcons fans here in the area I live in. And I just want to go ahead and put it on note right now in case y'all don't know. Middle finger to the NFC South and to the whole NFL because my Panthers are coming back this year. We're not looking at no contingency plan or people to, win tiebreakers or none of that. We're going all the way to the Super Bowl. Y'all heard it here first. You heard it here first, Super Bowl 61. And with that, y'all, I bid y'all a great night. Y'all be blessed, and I'll see you guys soon.